Welcome to the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK. Well, I'm here at Hal Sherbeck Field, and while I look around to check out the field right now, you know, there's part of me that wants to say to Gene Murphy, hey Gene, the Lost Boys aren't lost anymore. You've now got a home that should have been here a long time ago for the Hal Sherbeck years, the Gene Murphy years, the Mickey Flynn years. Hey, I tell you what, I should have been yelling for Al Givdry to keep on running instead of being up in Bakersfield the year that Al scored from 30 yards out. Well, that's where he was at when I yelled touchdown here at Fullerton College. So this is it, the new home of your Hornets. Little of old school, as we see with the blue and gold. A lot of new school, as we see with the gray and white. And of course, the 83 logo sitting over there, basically saying Swarm City on the field, is all what it's all about up there. Of course, Ryan Osborne and Joseph Pavlovich, well, they're up where we'll all be sitting during the football game right now. You're getting the view of our press box, and this is what the field will look at. And you're lucky enough to see the first All-American for Fullerton College in the new generation on the field. I mean, you know, check that out. I'm ready to play. It's going to be a great opening year for us here at Fullerton College. We're looking forward to it on 90.1 KBPK and SportsNetUSA.net with Corey Nalen, Ryan Osborne, and occasionally the name that I just mentioned a little while ago, Joseph Pavlovich, will all be out here for a great football season, but not yet, not now. The stadium's not done. We're still right around the corner. Hey, it could be ready by June, could be ready by December, could be ready for the season in 2024. But for now, well, this is where we're at, right in the middle. So I tell you what, let me get set. I need the rest of my players to come out here so that I can, because you know I got an arm. Ready, set, blue, blue 23, gold 17. Okay, something like that. So that'll happen, be it if it's Bob Moran or Garrett Campbell. One of us is going to be calling the plays, and your Hornets are going to be a winner on this field. So for Joe, Ryan, Corey Nalen, and myself, this is your new field here at Fullerton College. And the old saying goes, once a Hornet, always a Hornet, here on 90.1 KBPK. Welcome back to a little more of interviews here on 90.1 KBPK. And to my left is my long-lost father. Well, not really. But you could say that about Steve Hassler, because I'm going to say to the young man to my right, who's in a 145 class, this was me on 90.1 KBPK. What I do for you now is what Steve did for me. He was the lab instructor there, but before that, Steve was a student and a voice for Fullerton College Sports here on 90.1 KBPK.
Yeah, I was, and you know, it's amazing to think 1983 is 40 years ago, and I was a student here, and we were doing TV back then too, and Lon Brunk and I were on, Lon Brunk was the instructor at the time, and I was his student, and so he said, Steve, we're going to have a great year, you're going to do it, this is your time. I'm like, Lon, there's no way. I'd been color the year before. I said, Lon, there's no way. He says, yes, it is. It's your time. You got to go. And we end up winning a national championship. So, yeah, it was it's an unbelievable thing. Unbelievable thing. And it's just such an honor to be here. Thank you.
You know, what's fun here, Steve, is we're sitting here watching fans walk across the pink line, getting in front of camera, staring in there, you know. So yeah. We're on the air with Steve Hassler, the voice of the 1983 national champion. Steve, you were here for a while and you've heard about all the great teams. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Because I come from the 2016-2017 national champions,
Yeah.
Fullerton College. We look at the 2013 team. You were here for 83 and for other games you've seen of the team. 83, you going to put it there as the best team in community college history you ever saw?
Obviously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, we had a lot of kids who went on to play Division I football, and most of them are here tonight. One person we're missing who was the SID at the time, and he's not here. He passed in a car accident. Lon Brunk isn't here, who was my color man. Tony Smith, who did interviews at the on the football field, and he wasn't able to come either. But yeah, it was a fun time, and I had no idea that the team was going to be that good. And Damon Swayze just ran wild, and so we had a great running game, and the passing game was good enough because we ran so much. So the passing game was good enough to score a lot of points.
What influence did Hal Sherbeck have on that team, did you see?
Well, Coach Sherbeck, he had been here since 1961. That's the year he started from Montana. And the year I was born, I might say, 1961. And he put his imprint on every part of this school, every part of the football team. And I just saw a set of rules from the 1983 team. And in two of the rules, one was call all the coaches Mr. or Coach. You have to dress up, you have to look good, you have to be clean. And the other one was no cursing. And I just about rolled on the floor because I'm thinking football players, coaches, not cursing. That I was a ways away, so I'm gonna assume everybody followed that rule. But I can't imagine most football coaches doing that. But you know, Hal Sherbeck made men out of so many young boys who came here at 17, 18 years old. He recruited all over Orange County, and you know, would get people that they couldn't believe would come, and they would get kickbacks from other programs. Hal Sherbeck, and he was at the time he was the athletic director. And so in my life, well, not my life with Mark, but my life before that, I never knew anybody else as athletic director other than Hal Sherbeck. But everything is about and for and by him. So none of us are here without Hal Sherbeck.
Why did you choose Fullerton College?
Well, I was a communications major at Cal State Fullerton, and I got a letter one day after my second semester, and it said, you're on academic probation. I'm like, oh no. So I was embarrassed, and I was either going to go to Orange Coast or to Fullerton, and Fullerton was closer. And honestly, it's the best decision I've ever made, because I was able to get myself together and have so many professors who actually cared about you. You weren't in a theater of 300, you were in a classroom of maybe 40. And so it was the Paul Kellys of the world, communications major, Don Depew, Ed Ford, so many people who molded us and showed us the way to act as broadcasters and young men. And of course, Jim Bain, who was the head of the program at the time, Diana Kirchen, and we just had a blast. And I picked it because it was close, but I ended up getting my degree. Went back to Cal State Fullerton and got my degree. And because I went back and got my degree, that was one of the reasons I was hired, because I got a degree in communications. So I'm like, wow.
So we're here at the 2023 Hall of Fame dinner with my partner to my left, Steve Hassler, for many years, Grady to my right. And Steve, it's not that I'm trying to get rid of you, my friend, but we're going to move out of the way for a couple of our students.
Okay.
And hopefully get a couple of our students on the air with people. Let me look down at my production table. And so Steve's going to take a breath. You're going to take a breath. And let's get a couple of the other people to come on down on the table. And I'm going to get out of the way. Steve, it's so beautiful to see you. I'm going to hug you off the one more.
All right. So when we talk about a championship caliber football team, you can't not mention the 83 football team. And who better to talk about it than the offensive guard, tackle, center. I mean, you guys were the stars. You guys were what created that championship caliber team. Being back here now, 40 years later, being able to, looking over at that trophy, what are some of the feelings and emotions that kind of come to mind when you get to see everybody?
It's just awesome seeing these faces that we haven't seen in forever. I mean, all the guys, you see a name tag and you're like, holy crap. And next thing you know, you're all hugged up and getting photos. It
kind of feels like the old days, right?
Yeah.
The last time we got together was Coach Thomas's induction into the Hall of Fame. So we tend to get together at big events. It's great to see everybody.
And I know you guys mentioned like Coach Thomas earlier. You guys had a really big connection with him.
Oh, man.
Do you guys have any like really fond memories that kind of come to your head at the beginning?
Well, like I said earlier, it's like he would talk to us. He would give us little speeches during the week, but especially before the games, and he would get us so riled up. He would just be like this, and our hair on our arms and back of our neck would stand up. And he said, "If you don't feel this, you're not alive." And we felt it, and he was awesome.
A good story Tom told me is last time we all got together was his induction. And Tom was walking out with Coach Thomas and his wife, and he said, "Coach promised if we win the national championship, he's going to get a tattoo of a hornet on his ass." And Tom said, "Coach, did you did it?" He dropped trowel right there and showed him that they
commitment. There you go. That's what you like to see. Now we got Tom Gilman, we got John Kleminski joining us. I just asked these guys, you guys get to come back here after 40 years of that championship team. What are some of the emotions going through your guys' head right now, getting to see everybody and reunite again?
Well, it's great to be part of the family. A lot of us talk every week, so it's not like we have been distant. It's just like that whole season brought us all together in 40 years of friendship. It's fantastic. So we're building on memories and just what a family we became at that time and kind of going forward. So we have all different walks of life. Everybody's been different levels. And, it's been fantastic.
And so you guys had a pretty dominant season throughout the entire way. You guys completely obliterated every team you guys had by 2 touchdowns. I mentioned that earlier.
You might talk to the defensive guys.
I thought you guys did. When you guys look at a record 10-0-1, in my books, you guys completely obliterated the other teams, and to come out with that championship as well is absolutely incredible. But when we're back here, when we talk about the '83 team, you have to talk about Hal Sherbeck. What kind of a character was he, and what kind of impact did he make on you guys?
Life-changing, cheering boys into men. It was truly amazing. Our coach Thomas, really directed us and made us all a family in leadership with Nick Godovac and Tom Gilman and the teammates with everybody else that we had together. It was incredible.
What's his name over here?
Our line was, we were not supposed to be the national champions. I think the year before it was supposed to be. Yeah. We had so much talent on that team, but we came together as a team so much better. We were one unit. We weren't a bunch of individual talents, and it's amazing how we came out like that.
A comment for Coach Sherbeck is, even though he was a football coach, he cared about you more as a person than as a football player. So when you go to other,
it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
When you go to other schools, you're just treated like meat. That wasn't like us at Fullerton.
And I had mentioned to you guys had the #1 defense in the country that year. What was it like going up against this tough defense day in and day out? It really helped you guys prepare for the season going up ahead.
See, that's the thing. We'd kill them in practice. They were nothing. It's like going through butter. They were a bunch of losers.
Now I got to get the defensive group here.
Oh, this one here, he would antagonize Schweitzer until Schweitzer was fuming, and then he'd throw him off the board.
We'd tell them we were going to run the play, and then the running backs would be like, seriously?
I'm like, yeah, you got to run right through that. And you see him, he's like 350 pounds. So.
Now I got to go get the defensive group. Let them know Tom has a few words about your guys' practices here.
You guys were like butter, but then they'll go, yeah, okay. Right, Nick?
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. This is 90.1 KBBK. Once again, an 83 football team. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. It's a pleasure.
Thanks.
This is the Fullerton College 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Garret Geimer from 90.1 KBPK, alongside Fullerton College Hall of Famer, Seattle Seahawk, Paul Moyer. Paul, let's start back at the beginning. What was the reason you decided to choose Fullerton College?
Wow, you're going to get into my speech right from the get-go, which is actually great because I wrote it about 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
My journey was a little different. Back when I was playing, you had to actually live in the area and go to that junior college. So I went to Villa Park High School. So I was supposed to go to Santa Ana College at the time. But I wanted to play baseball and football in college. So the Santa Ana football coach said, no, you can play football only. And then I came here with, one of the greatest men I know, Coach Hal Sherbeck, who's most people know is legendary here, and the field's named after him. And he just said, look, man, this is family. If you believe in family, that's one. And number two, I don't care what you play. Go to track, swim, play baseball, football, do whatever you want. And so my parents were pretty impressed with that. So I ended up going to Cal State Fullerton and getting a place in their dorm so I could be eligible to attend Fullerton College, back then Fullerton Junior College.
So Hal Sherbeck, he was one of the, I've talked to a lot of other alumni. He's that guy that once you talk to him, it's a click. This is the place for me. Is that kind of what happened for you?
Yeah, look, he's a leader of men, bottom line, and not just the football players, but the coaching staff he put together and what they did to lead us as well. Just an impressive guy. You just knew there was no BS about him. He was just a straight shooter. He was a tough love coach, but at the same time, I don't know, man, I don't know if I've been around a finer coaching staff in my career, and that says a lot. I played in the NFL and coached for 12 years. I've been a part of the Seahawks for 40 years, really, when you think about it, or 30-some years. There's not a finer group of men and coaches than Hal Sherbeck, and for me, it was Jeff Jesperson and the great Alfiola.
And for you, being a defensive player of the year, how did that kind of support from that coach kind of like elevate your gameplay, or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a great question too. I tell everybody, I go, look, I was obviously a pretty good player. We were the number one defense in the South Coast. I want to even say maybe the number one defense in the state at that time. And Alfiola and Coach Jesperson and Coach Sherbeck, they just pumped me up. I don't know if I was the best player on our defense. I had Kirk Dodge and Jeff Sanchez and Jeff Carp. I had some really good football players there. But I think, my size and speed, it translated to the next level in college and the NFL. So they pushed me hard, but I give them probably more credit than what I did on the field that year.
And you stayed with football, best defense in the country your senior year. You go to that East-West Shrine game, MVP of the game, but don't get that draft call. I know you were talking with, you grew up in Southern California, grew up watching the Rams, Chuck Knox. What was it like as a rookie coming in and playing for Coach Knox as a Seattle Seahawks as a rookie?
Another great question. Obviously I was a fan of Coach Knox because, growing up a big Ram fan. I was hurt by the Rams not drafting me. Our offensive coordinator at Arizona State had just gone to the Rams to be their offensive coordinator, so he knew enough about me that I was a little surprised. But yeah, it was that one hurt me. But the nice part, as you mentioned, Chuck Knox had just moved from Buffalo to the Seahawks. That was their first year. And so I was a little awestruck, by him because to me, he was a legend. And he was so intimidating as a coach. And I remember when I first got to Seattle, he just said, welcome to Seattle. We're really glad to have you. And I was just like, I can't believe, remember, he knows my name. So that was a big thing for me because I knew the rest of the players wouldn't get a jump on me. So I knew I kind of had an edge as a rookie coming in with new coaching staff. But Chuck Knox was a big reason why I went there.
And sitting behind some Hall of Famers, big Seahawk names, what was it like to kind of learn from them to begin your career in Seattle?
Yeah, you mentioned some Hall of Famer. One, Kenny Easley, became a really good friend of mine. Another guy who was a great player, should be in the Hall of Fame, is a guy named Dave Brown. He has 63 interceptions, I think. He's got the most interceptions of anybody who's not in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But we never went to a Super Bowl, and that kind of hurt him. But no, Kenny was one of the smartest players, and Dave Brown, and there's a guy named John Harris who went to Arizona State as well, probably the smartest player I've ever been around. And they just taught me about work ethic and film study. Football will take care of itself. So yeah, I've had some really good people in my life to help me.
For those fans in Seattle, those loud fans in Seattle.
Well, the Kingdom was loud. Obviously, it was made out of cement, and we had a cement roof. And I tell everybody, there's something about the Seattle fans. They're just loud. Doesn't matter, man. The Mariner fans, the old Sonic fans, Husky Stadium. You go into our old Kingdom. I mean, it pierced our ears. It was so loud. But transition it to now, which is we're at Lumen Field. That thing's loud, and there's no roof on it anymore. So I'd give a lot of credit to the fans, but the Kingdom's the loudest place I've ever played in my life. It was so loud that I used to tape my ear holes on my helmet, and everybody laughs at that, like, oh, you think that helped? And I go, well, it did. It just to muffle the noise, because it was such a high pitch that it hurt your ears. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you felt invincible when you walked into that stadium.
And I can imagine that energy back to like that first time you guys started making the playoffs. Does it get even more, like, once you get the team winning, I feel like every fan will come out. But for Seattle, the way they had the Kingdom, that dome, it kind of kept everything inside. I think Lumen, they've kind of architectured it to be more amplified.
Absolutely.
Was that is the loudest place you've ever been?
The Kingdom is by far the loudest. The new stadium's the loudest natural noise I've been into. The Kingdom, it wasn't natural. It was just it sounded like a jet engine. It was just an almost uncomfortable loudness to it. And that first year that we went to the playoffs, I remember us coming home from when we beat Miami to go for the right to play in the AFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl. And there was 10,000 people waiting for us at the airport. Okay. And it was just electric. I mean, and it really, to me, it started there. The 12s, we call them now the 12-man. Yeah. They take a lot of pride up there, and they're pretty loud.
Well, what does it mean to be inducted to the Fullerton College Hall of Fame? Let's keep it local. Let's come back local a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like I told my friends, I said if I could have a choice to be inducted into one Hall of Fame, college, NFL, high school, I go, it's right here. And the reason why is it is family. It's once a Hornet, always a Hornet. That's not a cliche, man. That's real. I got guys who flew in from out of state to be here for me that I played with. So, and the most impactful men in my life, other than my father, they're Hal Sherbeck, Al Fiola, and Jeff Jesperson, and I'll never forget it. So I'm really honored. I'm excited to be here. My family's excited about it. So just want to thank Fullerton College for having me back here.
And we want to thank you, Paul Moyer, for joining us here for the 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony here on 90.1 KBPK. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we've seen the interviews with the 1983 national champions who should have been playing on this field, but they'll be here with the rest of us when we get a chance. I tell you what, if that team were here that you just saw interviewed at the Hall of Fame dinner, it'd be pretty spectacular. So for us here at 90.1 KBPK, that's been it on the Coaches Show. Once a Hornet, always a Hornet, here on 90.1 KBPK.